I've helped well over 100 people with their crypto taxes, and this is the most common issue that gets raised. My name's Rooshock, I'm an accountant here in Australia, and I help people on this YouTube channel with business and tax and crypto. And I get asked the same question all the time by nearly all of my clients. So I'm going to go through what that question is and how they can fix that so it doesn't happen to you. I've become a bit of a crypto tax specialist, if you want to call that, during this time. And therefore I get common questions. And the biggest one I'm getting, or the biggest statement I'm getting from people is, oh yeah, I kind of did a bit of everything. I tried this, I tried that. I made some money, I lost some money. I've just made a massive mess from a tax point of view. How do I fix this, or how do I make sure this doesn't happen again? So what I'm going to touch on today is why this happens, the issue it creates, and how you can fix it. And the why is quite simple. People want to make money. People are going, what is the newest thing? What is the thing I can try that's going to make me money? They're trying this, they're trying that, you're trying this one. And they're just looking for a quick dollar. They're chasing massive returns, etc. And that's what's causing them to do so many transactions. So whether it's NFTs, or maybe they're looking at the new staking thing and trying to chase a high yield, they're looking at yield pools and yield farming, and they're going after all these different odd things that are popping up. And it happened a lot in 2021 and 2022 because there was a lot of innovation in the crypto space. So a lot of new things happening, and people were going, well, I want to put my money towards that. I've seen X, he made $1 million doing that. I want my $1 million. So they're just chasing where they think the money is, not really understanding, one, what they're investing in, what gives it value, how it's going to be taxed, anything like that. They're just chasing the dollars. And this has worked for some people. I've seen clients that have paid off their house, made hundreds of thousands of dollars, made enough that they're paying hundreds of thousands in tax. Like, I've seen people make $1 million profits. But I've also seen people lose everything they've invested. I've seen people lose over $100,000. So it's definitely not an easy win, but it has worked for people, and that's why people are chasing it. But it obviously means there are a lot of people that lose out as well. And probably the most common comment I get from a lot of these, alongside that I've made a complete mess, is, I wish I just bought and hold. And that's not to say that's the ideal situation, but from all the issues it's created, they're just like, hey, I wish I just bought something and just hold on to it and didn't sell it, because I did all of this crazy stuff and ended up in the same position anyway. Now, before I jump into what issues this all creates, I am trying to grow this YouTube channel to 10,000 subscribers by the end of 2023. I can't do this without your help. So if you haven't already hit that subscribe button, please do, and share the video around with your friends, because that's the way that this channel grows and allows me to bring more educational content to yourselves. Anyway, let's jump back into the video. So what issue does this create? The issue it's creating is there is so many transactions, and it is so complex, and it just creates a tax nightmare and potentially a financial nightmare. So the tax nightmare occurs because they've done so many transactions across so many different blockchains, across so many different assets, and they can't remember what they've done. They can't understand, well, how is that even meant to be taxed? There's protocols that no one really knows how meant to be taxed, and it just creates a lot of confusion. So for an example of this, they might have moved funds from blockchain A to blockchain B. They've then had to convert that asset to that. Then they've had to join two assets together to buy this asset. Then they're staking that asset, and they're receiving a staking reward in a different asset. And then that asset, you can just see it becomes a nightmare. And your 5 minutes has created 70 transactions, and you're trying to dissect all of these in crypto software later down the track, and you can't remember what's happened. And that's what's happening for a lot of people, is it's just becoming an absolute nightmare, an absolute mess. The problem that also happens when you have so many transactions and then leave it is you're not realizing this is happening. So it's only when you load it into a crypto software at the end of the year and you go, oh, I've got 5,000 transactions. And when you're either trying to work it out yourself, or you're asking an accountant like me to go, hey, what happened on this date with this coin? You go, oh, I don't even remember buying that coin. So it makes it really hard for you to actually get your head around your tax mess that you've got. It can also create a bit of a financial mess that you don't actually know where your assets are. You've done all these trades, and they're in this wallet, they're in this exchange, and this exchange shut down, and this one's here, and you suddenly don't even know what you've got, where you've got it, how to access it. So you're potentially losing funds because you're going, I can't access that, or I can't access that, or I didn't even know I had that until I've loaded in software. And that is another risk. You know, you've created a tax nightmare and a financial nightmare for yourself. Now, like any problem, my job as an accountant is to help people try and fix it. And my suggestion to try and fix this is three-pronged approach. So we want to understand what we're doing from a tax point of view. We want to understand what is going to give something value. And then we want to ask ourselves the question is, do we actually want to transact in that? So when we're investing in anything, we want to have an understanding of how is it taxed before we invest in it. Unfortunately, taxes are part of life. You have to pay taxes, and our self-assessment system here in Australia means you have to calculate them. So if you're going to invest in a new coin or a new protocol or a new type of crypto, then you need to understand, well, how is that going to be taxed? If you can't understand that, then you need to either talk to an accountant first or raise a serious red flag to go, do I really want to invest in that? Next, you need to understand what gives something value. If you don't understand why it's got value or why it potentially has value, why you're investing it. When we buy a property, we know that we're hoping that that property goes up in value because capital growth is going to happen. We're maybe going to get a rental return. But if you're investing in some new crypto yield thing that's going to promise 50% yields, do you understand why would it generate that? Like, what is going into that asset to be able to make it generate that type of return? Because if you can't answer that question, again, it's another red flag. Is it something you really want to put your money into? And those two things to be linked to go, what is this actually going to generate from a number of transactions point of view? Because when it works out with all the tax kind of things, you need to go, well, how is it actually generating this return to me? What does that actually mean in a real world context? What type of transactions am I going to have to reconcile to get my taxes correct? And then the third question is, how did you come across this? Who is pushing it and what are their motives behind pushing it? You know, have you heard from a friend that maybe they're heavily invested and they want to get you in, but is that their way of wanting to get out? Or is it maybe something you have done your own research on? Or is it just an ad you've seen pop up? By understanding, who's pushing it is going to help you understand what's going to give it value. Now, crypto tax software can definitely help with this. Coming up next, you'll see a video that I've done talking about the current best crypto tax software that's on the market. So I'd love for you to go check that one out. I appreciate you watching the video and I'll talk to you again on the next one.